Hello, beautiful people. Today is 6th of May. My name is Sahil, and welcome to Newspaper Analysis. Guys, he is Albert Schweitzer, who was a German philosopher and a thinker. He says ethics is the activity of man directed to secure the inner perfection of his personality. Friends, we often say that ethics are meant for the society, for bringing the order into the society. But along with doing that particular thing, ethics is also a conquest to improve the one's personality, to achieve the perfection in one's life being and outlook also. Guys, you can use this quote in your GS paper number 4, that is ethics. So, guys, let's begin with today's analysis. Guys, this is the page number 1 of the Hindu newspaper. And as you can see again, there are no relevant news for the UPSC exam. So we will be taking up a news from the Press Information Bureau, that is PIB, and from Indian Express. So guys, two missions have been started by the government. One is Vande Bharat and other is Samudra Setu mission. Samudra Setu mission has been started by the Ministry of Defense, whereas Vande Bharat mission is started by the Ministry of External Affairs. Now guys, before going into the details of these missions, a question comes that why these missions are important. So friends, there is a topic in our GS paper number 2, that is diaspora. Now, guys, diaspora means the people of Indian origin who are living in other countries, for example, USA, UK, Gulf countries. Now, these diaspora are very much important for India. Why? Because these people are the ambassadors of our country into the other countries. Moreover, these diaspora send a large number of remittances to India, which helps in improving the forex reserves in India, and these forex reserves then help to reduce the current account deficit of India. So, the diaspora community is very important. Now, due to the COVID 19, a large diaspora is stranded into other countries such as Gulf nations, USA, UK. And now these people are to be brought back to India. So, therefore, these two missions, that is Vande Bharat and Samudra Setu, has been started to bring back the people. Now, guys, first of all, if we talk about Vande Bharat, the mission is being coordinated by Ministry of External Affairs, and it is the largest evacuation mission of India since the 1990, when the people were airlifted from Kuwait. Now, guys, the first phase of Vande Bharat will start from May 7 to May 13, in which more than 64 flights will be operated from different countries to India. Now, guys, the flights will be operated from USA, UK, Singapore, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Philippines, Oman, Bahrain. So, from all these regions, the flights will be operating. And after coming back, all the people who are coming had mandatorily go for 14-day quarantine, and after only that they will be able to return back to their homes. Now, guys, after Vande Bharat, the next mission, as I told you, is Samudra Setu. Now, this mission is being coordinated by the Ministry of Defense. Now, guys, as per Samudra Setu, people are being brought back from the Malay, that is in Maldives, to the India, into the Kochi. Now, into this particular mission, two warships will be deployed, that is INS Jalashwa and other is INS Magar. So, guys, into the first phase, the people are being brought back from the Maldives. However, laterwards, the mission will be extended, and the people from the nearby regions as well as people from the Gulf will also be brought back by using the Indian Navy ships. Guys, this was all about this. Now, we'll move to the next. Now, guys, here's a news item on page number 3. Now, first of all, exactly what had happened here, we don't need to see that particular thing. However, as Qutub Minar has been mentioned, we will be seeing certain important details here for our prelims exam. First of all, Qutub Minar is a World Heritage Sites under the UNESCO, and in Delhi there are three World Heritage Sites recognized by UNESCO. First is Qutub Minar, second is Red Fort, and third is Humayun's tomb. And guys, Qutub Minar, along with being UNESCO World Heritage Site, is also a centrally protected monument under the Archaeological Survey of India. So, guys, please remember all these details with respect to Qutub Minar. Now, just to brief, there are 38 World Heritage Sites in India which are recognized by the UNESCO. Guys, there are 30 cultural sites,
seven sites are natural and one is mixed, that is it is natural also and cultural also. So out of 38, three are there in Delhi.
Guys, now we are into the editorial section, and in this editorial the references has been taken from the system science. We will see what that is, and it has been explained that what should be the future pathways for Indian economy to recover. Now, guys, first of all, when I'm talking about system science, what is system science? In this is a kind of a discipline of study in which different things are considered to be the different systems, and then it is seen that what is the impact of one on the another. For example, there is a society. Now, this society in a whole is a system, and into the society there are different sections. For example, there are the women, there are the men, then there are different caste. So all them in themselves also they are the system. So there it will be seen as what impact each of them are having over each other. And now, guys, into the same direction, it has been suggested that Indian economy is also a kind of a very complex system. And as per system science, whenever a catastrophe or a huge disaster comes into a system, then system breaks down, and in order to restore the system, certain important and relevant steps are needed to be taken. So, guys, due to the COVID 19, our Indian economic system has come to a breakdown. And now, what are the steps which are needed so that we can restore it? So, this article has provided that there should be the seven things which should needed to be kept in mind if the system needs to be restored. Now, the first thing that needs to be kept into the mind by the states and the government, that is the concept of degrowth. Now, guys, various Nobel laureates such as Abhijit Banerjee, Amartya Sen have emphasized that merely counting growth into the number of GDP, etc., will not be sufficient for the development of a society as a whole. So now, going away from the GDP, we should need to establish the different parameters as how development could be gauged. And guys, right now onto the internet, a degrowth manifesto is becoming very much popular, which is a research paper written by 170 Dutch economists. So they say that the concept of growth via GDP is old and new parameters are needed. Then the second step is that governments needed to rethink the concept of globalization. Now, friends, according to globalization, it has been said that the boundaries into the present times are meaningless and not desired. But it is not the concept. Every countries have their own different systems, and they have their own merits, they have their own demerits, their demographics are different, their resource profile is different, their economic progress rate is different. So therefore the boundaries are much more needed if that pace of development or if their own distinctness is to be maintained. And guys, in this direction, if there will be no boundaries, then all the countries will not be able to maintain their integrity, and in this particular sense only the powerful nations will thrive and the weaker ones will not be able to get any developmental fruits. And in the same direction, an argument has been given that the World Trade Organization aimed to break these boundaries, and in this particular direction, the harm has been incurred by the weak and the smaller states. Then we reach at the lesson number 3, that governments are good. Now, friends, throughout the history, the proponents of a capitalist has said that the government is not required and government should do the minimalistic role. But now, as the pandemic is unfolding, even the capitalists are recognizing the need of government, because at the end of the day only government came to their rescue. Bailout packages, economic assistance, strategic assistance, every kind of thing. So government's role cannot be minimized. And guys, from directly this, we will reach to the point number 4, which says that markets are not always good. Now, guys, what do we mean by market? A market is a kind of an economic system in which you can buy goods and services only if you have money.
But in this particular scenario, only those will able to buy the commodities which are rich or have disposable money. What about the poor? How they will acquire the basic necessities of life? In this direction, it is said that certain things should not be left to the market, rather they should be provided free of cost to everybody, irrespective of their economic status. Guys, it has been said that the marketization is not good, and the marketization will lead to the inequalities. Now guys, we come to the point number 5. Now it is being said that the countries are now confused between the citizens and the consumers. Now guys, citizens are the members of society, whereas consumers are the members of economy. Don't get confused. What happens? There is Mr. X. If you will think him as a consumer, then you will think that what he can need and what he can buy by the money that he is having. And if you will think him as a citizen, you will think that what he needs, irrespective of the fact whether he is having money or not. So as a citizen, he needs a justice, he needs a dignity, he needs equality. All these things are needed, and they should be provided to him irrespective of his economic status. Whereas when you think him as a consumer, you see his income, and according to his income you give him the goods and services. So we need to rethink that the state or the country is not made by the consumers, rather it is made by the citizens. Now we come to point number 6. Here it has been said that into the today's society we focus more on competition, but in its place focus should be on to the collaboration. From very school a child is taught that you need to compete. Industries are competing, scientists are competing, countries are competing. We are always being pushed by the theory of survival of the fittest, but in this competition only the destruction of the ecology environment has taken place. And now if we need to achieve the sustainable developmental goals, we need to come together, collaborate, so that collectively those kind of technologies can be pushed forward, which promotes the collective welfare of everyone. Guys, after that, now we come on to the debate on intellectual property. Friends, earlier the person who had more resources used to enjoy more wealth, but now the people who have more knowledge are enjoying the wealth and influence. Into the context of knowledge, we are talking about the intellectual property rights. By using your brain and innovation, you made a formula, for example a medicine, for example a critical equipment, and now you have been given the patent on this medicine and equipment, and by this thing you are earning huge wealth as well as influence. Though it is good, and people are acquiring huge wealth by using their intellectual property rights, but many a times the patent or the IPR which you are getting, it is on some essential medicine or drug or some life saving therapy. In that particular thing, it should be believed that the intellectual property belongs to the society and to the public, and it should only be used for the welfare of all. So guys, these were the 7 points which have been discussed. Now guys, it is being said that we are undergoing through a huge disaster. Earlier the disaster came in 2008 when the global financial crisis came, but that was a disaster on one front, that is the liquidity. Money was soaked, we put more money, the liquidity was infused, and the system ran up. But now the system which has broken after COVID-19 is the structural breakdown, and therefore the entire structure has to be changed. And what changes are needed into the structure? All the 7 points that we have discussed here. And guys, this structure can only be changed when all the domain experts will come together and will suggest the reform in IPR, reform in trade policies, reform in government's attitude. All these things are needed if world 2.0 has to be entered. So guys, this was all about this excellent editorial for your essay. Please keep all these things into your mind, and now we'll move to the next article. Guys, in this editorial certain prescriptions has been given that how by increasing the wages of the migrant workers economic respite could be achieved. Now friends, as COVID-19 proceeded, everybody knows the distress of the migrant workers, and this particular thing shows that in how critical position this particular class was always living. And friends, the majority of the reason as why they were in so much critical condition is because of the bare minimum wages that are being received by these people. And this less wages was also reason into the 1929 economic crisis that came in USA, as well as into the crisis that was there into the 19th century into the United Kingdom. Now friends, coming to the workers, if we talk about certain statistics, then there is approximately were 471.5 million workforce in India, and out of this workforce, only 12% people are the regular workers. It means that they are receiving the formal salaries or wages and have some type of social security cover. It means that nearly 88% people are into the informal sector. Now guys, out of these 88% people who are in informal sector, majority are the migrant workers. We don't have any data as how much migrant workers are there, but according to the census of 2011, it is said that in India there are 54.3 million people who are migrated from one state to another state. Therefore, by any estimate, huge population in India is into the informal sector, and out of that, a very large chunk of people are the migrant workers. Now, guys, these migrant workers come from certain states such as Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, etc. Now, why they are migrating? Now, reasons are pretty simple for that. First of all, rural wages have declined and they are not able to sustain the economic requirements of the people. Secondly, into the rural areas, aspirations of the youth as well as people can't be fulfilled as the economic opportunities are very much less. So as a result, people are migrating, and it has been seen that they are migrating from the agricultural activities and from the allied rural activities, due to which the combined agricultural workforce and in such other ventures have been reduced. Moreover, into the times to come, it will even more reduced if certain steps are not taken. Now, guys, we have seen that the people are migrating, but is it the case that when they come to the cities, life become good for them? No. When they are coming, they are often ranking at the lowest level into the urban economy. They often work as the drivers, security guards, domestic helpers, and they continue to depend on to the demands generated by the affluent community into the urban centers. Now, after that, these migrant workers are working so hard under exploitative conditions, but their overall consumption of goods remain relatively low. And into the urban centers, majority of consumption of durable goods are carried by the affluent society. But as COVID-19 is proceeding, it is now expected that earlier the affluent sections which were consuming the large consumer durable goods, their demand will also be going down due to the lockdown and decline into the economic prospects. So now, in order to keep alive the economy, we need that the demand should increase. How demand should increase? Government should increase the source of demand, the number of people who are raising the demand. How we can do that? That we can do by simply building the capacity into the workers and migrants. We need to think such kind of strategies that money can be put into these migrant workers, and by that money they can raise the demand, and by that demand the economic push can be given. And guys, in this particular direction, government needs to take some radical steps, and one such example of that could be establishing the food processing industry into the rural areas. Now, guys, this particular one step will lead to various implications. For example, number one, the farmers will be getting a better price for their produce. Secondly, it will generate the employment into the rural areas. Thirdly, it will reduce the wastage of food. Fourthly, it will provide the nutritional quality into the food, due to which the problems such as malnutrition etc will reduce. So therefore friends, the benefit at the larger scale will be coming by following such kind of steps. This is one among various things which could be done. Now guys, the article calls that we need to rethink the earlier wisdom. Earlier, whenever the industry wanted to be expanded, it thought that it can do that by cutting down the wages of the people. But that is not the right wisdom, because when wages will be reduced, the demand raising capacity of the migrant workers will also reduce, and they will not be able to give the demand, due to which at the end of the day the firm will suffer. So in this direction, rather the argument of higher wages should be considered, because into the long term those higher wages will be giving the higher profits also. Moreover, not only at the industrial level, but the government should also rethink the massive investment, because this thing will lead to two factors. One of is that by seeing the government, the private investment will also come, as it has been suggested by the economist M. Keynes. Secondly, as government will start investing into the infrastructure projects, then a kind of a demand will be generated for the employment, and because of this particular employment demand, people will get jobs, they will get money, and again they will be raising their demands. And guys, the same kind of a strategy was utilized by the US government after 1945, and this thing gave an economic boom to the US economy. Moreover, this time, this boost was different, and it is called as the golden age of capitalism, because the boom came with the increasing wages into the workers, and then that kind of growth was long term, and also inequalities were reduced into the coming years. So guys, we also need such aggressive policies, and government should invest into the agricultural research, public transport, rural infrastructure, these kind of projects. And in this direction, we can also utilize the demographic dividend of India, that is the young working age population that is there. Otherwise, in some course of time, this demographic window will close, as India will also go into the bracket where we will have more aging population. So right now we should use our demographic dividend, that is young population. So guys, this was all about this. Now we'll move to the next article. Now guys, here's an article which talks about virtual judiciary. It can be utilized for the GS2 into the topic of judiciary and related issues. Now guys, judicial backlog is a huge problem in India, and according to the database of National Judiciary, more than 3.5 crore cases are lying pending there. And in this particular direction, various commissions and committees have expressed their concern onto these backlogs. Even the economic survey of last year has also talked about this particular thing. But the problem is that whenever we are talking about the judicial backlogs, we put that the reason for that thing is the less infrastructure, such as the physical infrastructure, but also the judges. But the problem is not of infrastructure, rather problem is of underutilization of infrastructure. Guys, if we talk about the mainstream judiciary, then it is known that there are Christmas holidays, summer holidays, when the courts are not functioning. So this is kind of underutilization. Secondly, if we talk about the income tax tribunal, then it has been seen that most of the days it only functions for the half of the day, and on the various days it simply doesn't functions. And into most of the times, if we talk about the tax litigations, then there are the large number of cases which does not require the personal hearings, because many a times the problem simply lies into the accounting practices which could be resolved without the personal hearings. So those number of litigations can be reduced if we find some technological solution as how the cases could be filed, and through the virtual mechanism these kind of cases could be dispensed. So guys, we come to a solution which is the virtual judiciary. Now, as per the concept of virtual judiciary, the cases as well as documents could be filed into the digital way, such as via email, and judge can decide the merits as well as a demerit of the case on the basis of that digital information only. And whenever the judge wants to seek the clarification, then judge can also ask it via email or by some other digital mechanism. And guys, then after seeking the merits and demerits, judge can pass a draft order, and that draft order could be given to both the parties, and they can read their draft order, can give the comments, and after that particular thing the final judgment could also be given digitally only. So therefore, guys, it is being said that having a physical courtroom to do all these things is unnecessary. And by dispensing the physical courtroom and by bringing the digital or virtual judiciary, the time will be saved, the effort will be saved. Moreover, the productivity of the lawyers will also increase because they don't need to wait for long hours, they don't need to spend their time into the traveling. Moreover, the litigation cost at the same time will also reduce. Now, guys, in this particular direction, when we are talking about the virtual judiciary, we can also remove the concept of jurisdiction under each court. We can make all the courts available to all the jurisdiction because the traveling is not the barrier then. So in this particular direction, a person from Mumbai can also approach the virtual court which is located at somewhere else. And guys, this thing that is removing the jurisdiction will also bring a kind of a reform that in many a times the judges and the lawyers, when they belong to same city, they are familiar to each other, which can impact the course of judiciary. Therefore this thing will also be removed. So, guys, in this direction, the argument for virtual judiciary makes a whole lot of sense, and this particular thing partially can at least be done for the cases which does not require a personalistic hearing. For example, matters related to taxation and company law, and for other such kind of civil matters. Right now, guys, we need some out of the box solution because the problem is also out of the box, and this thing can help in that regard. So, guys, this was all about this. Now we'll move to the next article. Now, friends, here's the news on page number 11, which talks about copycat groups, which are now becoming more popular. Now, friends, just a couple of days back, there was a boys' locker room controversy. Now, this boys' locker room is a group on Instagram where the morphed images of girls were being spread, and the talks with respect to the gang rape and all these kind of things are being made onto this group. Now, as the FIR has been launched onto this particular portal, on the sidelines, large number of such groups have been formed with the similar names, which are called as copycat groups. So the groups with the name similarity to this boys locker room. Now, guys, why such groups are being formed? So simply they are formed to capitalize on the popularity of this particular group. As people come to know about such controversy, they start searching for that particular group and come across these copycat groups, and in a bid to dig into the controversy, they start following these copycat groups and they gain the followers. So obviously the intents are dubious, and into the future times there could be a possibility that these copycat groups will also repeat the offense which was being repeated by the original group. Now, guys, apart from being a nuisance, these groups also delve into certain rumor mongering, and in this respect many a times a kind of sympathy is being gained for the people who were involved into the incident. Sometimes girls are maligned, and likewise the things start to happen. Now, friends, as we are talking about these copycat groups and all these kind of things, then in this particular direction there is one legislation, that is IT Act of 2008. But this particular legislation is very weak, as there are no well defined laws with respect to cyberbullying which happens onto these groups. And many a times either there is no action onto these kind of activities, or very less action is there which does not deters these activities for the future times. So therefore, why now, from my side I can give a suggestion that we need a reform into the IT Act so that these kind of tendencies and the other copycat groups which want to leverage the advantage of some controversy can be curtailed, and an atmosphere of safe and free internet can be created. So, guys, that was all about this particular news. Now we'll move to the next. Now, friends, here's a news on page number 14 where China has launched a new rocket and a spacecraft which will set the base for China's space ambitions. Now, friends, China is planning to send the manual flights to moon on to the lines of USA, as US is the only country by till date which had successfully sent the man on the moon. In this direction, guys, China has just now launched the Long March 5B rocket, which was successful in its first flight. And guys, this particular rocket also released a unmanned prototype spaceship which was separated from the rocket and entered its respective orbit where it was meant. Now guys, what is China's master strategy is that China is building a space station into the space, and by 2020 China aims to complete this thing. Now China also wants to develop the rocket capabilities which can transport people into this space station and can also bring back the people. Moreover, from the space station China also intends to send people on the moon. So step by step all these are the parts of a greater plan of China to send the manned flights to moon. And this particular launch of the Long March 5B rocket and the separation of a spacecraft is a major step into this effort. Now, if we talk more specifically about this project, then guys, first of all, there is a rocket which will provide the thirst for the journey. Then, along with rocket, a spacecraft is attached and a recovery capsule is attached. Now, guys, what is the task of a rocket? It will take both of these things up to a specific height, and then they will detach from there and carry their respective journeys. Now guys, the space recovery capsule as well as a spacecraft will return back to the earth in mean course of time, that is by coming Friday. Now guys, the major success is the recovery of this capsule as well as spacecraft. Why? Because it will prove that not going into the space is possible, rather coming back from the space is also possible. Because when you are sending the man into the space, the major concern is bringing him back. In this direction China is making the great progress. So guys, this was all important about this particular news. Now we'll go to the next. Now guys, there is one more news item where the Iran has changed their currency. Now friends, if we talk a little bit into the background, then what has happening since guys 1971, Iran has faced the decline into their currency, and more than 3500 times their currency has been devalued. So basically, the currency of Iran, that is Rial, is very weak. Why it is very weak? Because of two particular reason. Number one, the economy of Iran is very weak because of large number of sanctions which have been imposed on Iran by countries such as USA. Due to which particular thing, nobody wants the currency of Iran, that is Rial. Second reason is the high inflation that is going into the Iran. So, guys, whenever inflation is up, what happens? The real value of the currency declines. Suppose if I was getting a good A in 100 rupees earlier, and if inflation increased greatly, then the same good I will be getting for 500 rupees, for 1000 rupees, likewise. So, what is happening exactly? The real value of my 100 rupees, the power that it was earlier having, that in this it can get a good, but now that power has been reduced and now I need 1000 rupees to get the same particular goods. So guys, whenever there will be high inflation, the real value will reduce and the currency will become stabilized. And right now guys, the inflation is so much into the Iran that one uh, dollar is equal to 1,56,000 reals. So therefore what they have done, they have introduced altogether a new currency which is called as Toman. Now, friends, this one Toman will be equal to 10,000 reals. So, actually, Toman will be the new currency, and this currency's value will be based on to the reals, where every one Toman is equal to 10,000 reals. Now, guys, this particular thing will make calculations easy, because earlier, when you need to go buy goods into the Iran, you need to carry a large amount of currency, which was little bit making the things complicated. And now by coming of the Toman, that particular kind of thing will be solved. Now people are divided on this particular direction. Some people say that it is good as it will solve the crisis and will make the things more easier, whereas other people think that it is not a good step, seeing the critical condition that the Iran is going right now, because the burden of printing new currency, circulation of that currency, replacing the real with the toman, and all that kind of thing will incur a lot of cost. So this thing is not desired. So friends, I will advise that please don't go much deeper than this, because at the end of the day it is a domestic matter of Iran, therefore not that much important for Indian concerns very directly. So guys, this was all about this particular news, and now we'll be winding up. I hope you are liking the discussion. Thank you so much.